How much trouble would they be in tonight if, let's say, both Messi and Suarez, who are questionable, are limited? Would they be in any trouble, or do they have enough firepower to get past Montreal, who's 1-1 on the season so far?
They're getting there, and I think if this was a little later in the season, I would feel a little bit more confident, but there's still a few question marks, especially since, for example, the guy that would have to step in for Suarez would be Leo Campana, and he missed the last game due to illness. Now, it didn't sound as though it was going to be anything serious, maybe just a stomach bug or something, so hopefully he'd be ready. They do have a youngster, local kid named Schneider Borgelin, who has a lot of height and a lot of potential. But when you're going from Luis Suarez, who is arguably the best forward in his generation, to a good kid who has a lot of potential from the neighborhood, that would be a little bit of a drop off. And then again, I mean, anyone on earth would be a huge drop off from Lionel Messi. So I think that there is talent enough to get a result against a Montreal that's in a bit of a transition. But I think it would be a lot easier, and I don't think I'm the only one that would say that, if they had both Messi and Suarez and a return to Alba. So I think that could also help.
Phil, has the players gotten used to the Messi effect? This is year two. We were going over articles, and there you have the 25 most important games this year for MLS. Everything that's involving Inter Miami's is high stakes. Has the team, the players, are they used to this now, or are they still getting used to it?
Well, there used to be, and Vlad, you might remember, back in his Barcelona days, they used to call it, what was it, Messi dependencia?
Right.
And it was like, when in danger, break glass. And Messi would find a way to save them. And he did that with PSG more often than not. And he has done it with Miami almost from the outset, especially in the early days with the Leagues Cup. Maybe a little tired, and maybe the roster was not as deep last year down the stretch, which is why they ended up missing the postseason, and why I think they've been so vigorous in shoring things up this season. For example, Joseph Martinez, who is one of the best scorers in MLS history, admittedly not the same since the injury, but they pretty much let him go for practically nothing to Montreal. And they have brought in the likes of Federico Redondo, Fernando's kid, and they're going to find a way to blend him in with Sergio Busquets. However, you're looking at playmakers, and the only player that was on this roster last year in this who had the closest comparison to Messi was Facundo Farias, who got hurt in the preseason and is out for the year. So someone's going to need to step up. I think Diego Gomez has proven this year, he's answered a lot of the questions that were left after last year. That's not necessarily his game, but he is more of a complete two-way player who can provide a little bit of that. But someone else is going to need to really step up, and I think it would probably have to be Tata to change the system, the style, the formation to try and create chances, because Messi is one of those players that you're not going to replace one for one. Everyone else is going to have to take it up a notch. But again, this is a guy that plays 90 minutes. I think even if he was in a wheelchair, he'd find a way to get a goal and an assist. So
what everyone wants to ask, of course, Phil, is let's say we do stay healthy and nothing crazy happens. Do we have enough firepower with Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez, Jordi Alba, Sergio Busquets, Leo Campana, Drake Callender? We know DeAndre Yedlin, he went to Cincinnati, but Robert Taylor. Do we have enough power if we're healthy and everything kind of, plays out the way we want it to? Do we have the chance to win what we'd call a treble, or even the quad, where we could win a Leagues Cup, where we could win a U.S. Open, a U.S. Cup and Cup, where we could win MLS Cup, where we could win CONCACAF Champions Cup? Is that a possibility, or is that one of those things that's maybe just a little too much wishful thinking?
Well, don't forget to tack on next year's Club World Cup. So I think that this is a team that will compete in every competition that it is in. Now, they got a little bit of a benefit in the fact that they are not one of the 8 MLS teams that are going to be in the Open Cup this year. That was a bit controversial from the league, and I'm a huge fan of the Open Cup. I think it's one of the joys of soccer that no other sport really has, in the fact that the littlest corner team with a bunch of guys playing oddball games after late Saturday night, could find their way eventually taking on a team like Messi. I think that's part of the romance of the game, but that's not there. And I don't think Tata really minds, considering the fact that there is the CONCACAF Champions Cup, there is the Leagues Cup again, which they're going to defend their crown, and there is MLS and hopefully the MLS playoffs. I mean, if they played every game, I think we figured it out. I think Joe Malfa did the calculations. It would be over 60 contests. Now, when you're talking about Suarez at 37, Messi at 36, Busquets at 35, Alba at 34, they're not going to play 61 games a year. Messi might try, but I think even he has kind of bowed to the realizations that there are going to be times where he needs to come off the bench or come off early or even just take it easy. And that really depends on Tata. So to see these guys play and start, say, 35 to 40 games in all of these competitions, understanding that at least at the outset, the MLS is not going to be the number one priority. They need to get through Nashville in the Champions Cup, and then whoever is beyond that could be Monterrey and then Tigres, et cetera, because they have really set their mind on getting to the Club World Cup. However, with that in mind, you have a Campana who has shown some potential and seems to already be a slightly different, more effective player, hanging around Suarez for a few months. You have all of the kids that have come up, and they might not be starting all of the time, but they are stepping in and finishing games and contributing to getting victories and points at the end. And then you also have some of these newcomers like Redondo who can step right in and show his class and maybe take a little bit of the pressure off of Busquets. So, yes, this is a team that can compete in all of the competitions. Will they win them all? That would be a big push and a stretch, not out of the realm of possibility, but I would not be surprised to see him come out with at least one title and perhaps even two.
Suarez joining the team. Phil, talk about that. I mean, the addition. I mean, obviously we've seen the goals that scored, but it just seems like he makes everybody else so much better and at ease. You see Messi just feels like he's got his partner in crime with him, and the team seems offensively they look really good. They look really good offensively.
Well, I mean, Vlad, you and I and Dan also we've taken a look at this team for the last few years, and the one thing that has been missing, even going back to Gonzalo Higuain, as good as he was, is a ruthless finisher. There are stories. I remember talking with Ray Hudson, Thomas Rongen, who will be joining me again today, about Gerd Muller. And if you remember way back in the Strikers days, but Gerd Muller coming over was huge. I mean, almost Messi-like to a point for the fans that knew what was going on in the game. And all of the players were really interested in what's this going to be like. And Muller goes out, and this is pretty much right where the stadium is now, or at least the training grounds, because they used to practice out on the old outfield where the Orioles and the baseball teams would practice. And everyone was just watching to see what he would do. And like the ball would roll, and he kicked it, and it went into the palm trees behind the goal. Another one over the fence, another one over and they're going, what's this? This guy's supposed to be that good? And then he goes on the field, the whistle blows, and it's like every shot is on goal and the balls are rolling in. They're just game-type players that can really step up. And I don't know if there has been a player who is Mr. Clutch. I mean, forget Mr. October and the straw that stirs the drink, those type of guys. I mean, Messi is the complete deal, 12 months, 24/7. This is a guy who, if he can walk, is going to try and find a way to get you the victory. And I think we have seen that over the last couple of seasons here in South Florida. And you listen to the players, while they are, I don't say surprised, mesmerized perhaps by what he is able to do, at the same point, they're enjoying the ride and they're contributing. They're not just sitting around and waiting for lightning to fall. I guess they're seeding the clouds a little bit. And this is a guy that has stepped up so many times already in the Inter Miami Pink and Black. And you talk to the other teams, you listen to the other players, listen to the other coaches, and you can talk about trying to prevent Messi from getting the ball. You can talk about maybe trying to take the ball away from Busquets, who tends to be the guy that would feed it towards a Messi. But then when clutch time comes, they find a way to get it done. And we saw that with Nashville in the first leg. Amazing performance by Schaufelberg and Nashville is coming out of the gate in the first and second half, and they still walk away dropping 2 points at home. So that's how good the team that the Mosses, that Beckham, that Chris Henderson has put together is. Can they keep it up for a full season in all of these different competitions? It's going to take a near perfect game plan, but they do have the capabilities. They do have the opportunity.
So one more thing with the MLS. Are teams in the MLS fearful? Do they fear Inter Miami? Because with all the pressure, especially on Messi and all the notoriety going to Inter Miami, and they being Dan said they are the favorite to win the MLS Cup this year. Are teams afraid of them? Is there word like, okay, when the pink and black are in town, obviously it's going to be watched, but are teams fear that Inter Miami is the team to beat in the MLS?
I don't know if I would call it fear, but what it is a respect. And there are certain things they might say in public, certain things they might say to the media, certain things they might talk about to other players around the league, and just the fact that Inter Miami is getting all the breaks. Inter Miami is bending the rules. Inter Miami, but yada, yada, yada. However, considering the fact they've been caught once with the whole Blas Matuidi affair, that they are being very careful. And also, I mean, they know, like Redondo before he signed, a lot of teams would have him run out to practice even before the work permit and everything was done and just kind of look the other way. Inter Miami knows the teams probably have spies and drones and who knows whatever, any chance they can to try and turn them in. So they're keeping their nose clean. And I think when the whistle blows, more than envy, more than fear, I think they're actually getting a kick out of it too, though. I mean, it's amazing. And you think about like a Kramaski, you think about Noah Allen, kids that grew up here and are now getting a chance to play with the greatest player ever. There's something about playing against the greatest player ever and showing what you have. And you saw that, I think, a little bit with Nashville, how they came out. We saw it with Orlando and how they came out last year. But then again, the difference between last year and this year was a controversial, narrow victory to a 5-0 thrashing. So I don't think that there is necessarily fear yet. A few more 5-0s, that might change.
Yeah, but you are getting everybody's Super Bowl. You are their Super Bowl. You are their biggest game. You are circled on the calendar. You're not sneaking up on anybody. But real quick, Phil, I want to for you to talk to the fan that maybe is just now starting to become a soccer fan. Although you look at the CONCACAF Champions Cup game in Nashville the other night as a 2-2 draw, it's not really a draw for Inter Miami.
No, and again, when you're talking about this, the way most leagues around the world and cups work around the world in that situation, it's home and away. And it's not a 3-game series, 5-game series, 7-game series, anything like that. Although MLS has kind of taken a step back a bit in the first round of the playoffs, but it's home and away. And the better team gets the home leg in the second match. So the first team can throw its spear down, and then the second team knows what needs to be done and get it done at home. So what you have to do is a mix of chess and war games going on. I mean, how much do you push to try and get the result, or rather hold to 0? As was mentioned in the TV broadcast, getting a road goal can be huge because a lot of these competitions, if you score away from home, that's one of the first tiebreakers, whoever has the most away goals. So seeing what that was and seeing again how up and close Nashville was for getting a victory, scoring 4 minutes into the first half, and I think it was 2 minutes into the second half. And it was about 10 minutes left in the game, and all of a sudden Miami just flipped the switch. The danger for Inter Miami, sometimes you're going to try and flip that switch and the power's out. It doesn't happen often with Messi, and it really hasn't happened with him in a Miami uniform yet either. So you take a look at that 2-2 draw, kissing your sister. I mean, there's a few things I could probably say if there wasn't a 5-year-old listening, But in this regard, I think it was exactly what Miami would have liked. They probably would have been happy with a 2-1 loss, even though they don't want to lose, but to get that road goal, knowing that all they need is a victory at home, I think this is going to be a very interesting return leg this week. And hopefully we even get a chance to carry it on the QAM family here or there. But it's been an amazing start to the season. The one caution, we had a very good start last year, and then the wheels fell off. I kind of have a feeling they have a few spares this time around.